Welcome to the July 19th, 2021 Grafton Board of Health meeting. As a preliminary matter, this is Karen Gwiazdowski-Govin, Chair of the Board of Health in Grafton. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Dan Finn.
Dan Finn here.
Bill Muller.
Bill Muller here.
And our newest member, Jennifer Maynard.
Jennifer Maynard here.
And then, welcome, by the way. We're happy to have you. And then staff and anticipated speakers on the agenda. When I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Julie Van Arslan from the Alliance.
Affirmative.
And then Danielle Edmonds from the Alliance.
Here.
All right. I would like to open the meeting. Can I get a motion?
Yep, this is Dan Finn. I'd like to make a motion to open this meeting.
Is there a second?
This is Bill Muller. I second that motion.
All right, and then we'll do roll call vote.
Dan Finn, aye.
Bill Muller,
Bill Muller, aye.
Jennifer Maynard,
Aye.
and Karen Gwiazdowski-Govin, aye. All right, so good evening again. This open meeting of the Grafton Board of Health is being conducted remotely, consistent with the Act extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency from back in 2020. This act includes an extension until April 1st of 2022 of the remote meeting provisions of the governor's March 12th of 2020 executive order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, the Act extends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. And then further, all members of public bodies are allowed to participate remotely. We're still like when we were operating under the actual state of emergency order, offering reasonable public access so that the public can follow along with the deliberations in the meeting. As with the order, ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law, and there are no public hearings scheduled for this evening's meeting. This meeting, the Grafton Board of Health is convening via video conference by Zoom, as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join as part of our agenda. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and that you take care not to screen share your computer because anything you broadcast could be captured by said recording of this meeting. Any supporting materials that have been provided to the members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I note otherwise. Before we turn to the first agenda topic, just allow me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. As always, I'll introduce any speakers on the agenda when there's a topic that has a speaker for it. After any remarks are concluded, I will ask if any of the board members have any comments, questions, or motions. Common courtesy practice when we're on Zoom webinars or any other type of webinars is to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking, and then to speak clearly and in a way that will help generate accurate meeting minutes. For any responses, please wait until I, the chair, yield the floor to you, and then state your name before speaking. And then if any members wish to engage with any other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. All right, with that, one last thing, any votes taken during this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. All right, so all that being said, we will be turning to the first topic on the agenda, but just wanted to officially welcome Jennifer Maynard, our newest member, now that we have opened the meeting. Like I said, we're happy to have you here. Happy that you reapplied when there was an opening. So we're looking forward to your experience and insight as part of the board.
Yep, welcome, Jen.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. Look forward to serving with you all.
All right, so the first topic is the Alliance updates. I don't know, Julie, Danielle, who wants to go?
I can go. I'm not sure if everybody's received the Alliance monthly update. I know it was sent out in the beginning of July, and I didn't know if anybody actually had any questions on anything that was written. It's pretty much in the beginning of July, it was the update or regarding COVID-19, as well as the Delta variant is here in the Commonwealth. And at that time, when we wrote the update, it was currently about 10% of the new cases, but doubling appears like it was happening every 2 weeks. And there's definitely a threat to unvaccinated individuals. That's why the continued effort to get them vaccinated is so important. I'm not sure, if anybody had the opportunity to actually look at the monthly update, if you want me to go through everything, or is there any
I'd say
questions?
not everything, like just anything that you feel would be a
Anything
highlight.
that I
Especially, I
feel-
don't know if Jennifer would have gotten it based on timing
Mhm.
of when she was appointed
Okay.
versus when Nancy would have sent that
I can-
around.
Okay, I can still actually email it to her separately as well after.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I know in Grafton monthly, the Grafton Housing Authority blood pressure clinics at the 9 Forest Lane and the Senior Center clinics at Providence Road will resume on July 4th. So that means that they've already resumed that Thursday, and it'll begin every month beginning in July. And the hours are from 10 to 11:30. And at the Housing Authority on Forest Lane, it's 12:30 to 2 p.m. We also know that the Pfizer vaccine is authorized for vaccine of persons 12 years of age or older. We also know that the new variants of COVID-19 continue to be identified. While being completely vaccinated providers a high level of protection. Anyone who develops symptoms of COVID-19 should definitely get tested. Let's see, the arbovirus point of contact is Pat Breckman, and then I am the backup for that. And again, mosquito season is here, and the 5 Ds dress appropriately, drain any stagnant water, DEET, dusted on. Those are the 5 Ds that we still have to worry about as well. And let's see. If there are any reason, or if you would like to have any of our teams, whether it's emergency preparedness, public health and nursing, community health, Colleen or Karen, if you would like anybody to attend any of your meetings, as well as tobacco, if you'd like anybody to attend any of your meetings, if you could please get in touch with me, and I will make sure that they get placed on the agenda. Perhaps maybe Jennifer would like to kind of meet everybody. We could filter everybody through if she would like that as well, just to explain what we actually do, what projects, some of the team is currently working on, whether it be community health and the grants, emergency preparedness for Region 2, any cases that she wants to contact me about for environmental health. I can walk her through any of the steps or any of the pieces that I take care of or Danielle takes care of, as well as public health nursing. If she'd like to know more about what Pat Breckman and Amelia do for the Alliance communities, she's more than welcome to reach out herself, or we could bring them through one of the meetings. I know that I think beginning next week, they're going to be doing interviews. So they're going to hire their 4th staff member for public health nursing in the city. So we're really excited about that as well, because I believe that individual will be handling a lot of the communicable diseases out in the Alliance communities. Which is great to hear. So there's some funding available, and it's not short term. So public health nursing,
Pat
very
is
excited
thrilled.
to have. Yeah, kind of excited to have another individual onboarding at some point. I believe that they're hoping, if things work out well, perhaps September is when the person might be onboarding. And then the community health assessment survey, I know was conducted. I think the deadline to do the Survey Monkey was last Thursday, and I know that they did have a lot of participants as well, and it was anonymous. And
It was pretty short. Takes a few minutes to do. Oh. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. And that's pretty much what I have.
Any questions for Julie on the monthly report?
I would just say, Julie, I will be happy to reach out so I can get a little bit more detail about the different departments and things, and maybe, you know, kind of look through anything that's come back to the board recently, maybe recommend some presentations here for the larger group if that works for folks.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Public health nursing, my thing I like a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
My opinion, it's like, you're better off going directly to the source than me or someone else who's not, you know, directly the alliance trying to explain it. Not that I wouldn't be able to, you know, make my way through, but definitely better to go to the source. All right. I think then I think Nancy had sent over Danielle's report on inspections. So, nope, Dan.
Yeah, this is Dan. I just have one question on the housing complaints in the number 2 bullet there, 331 Providence Road. Is that actually a rental unit or is it a single family home? And secondly, what does an order letter mean? Is that give a date that the situation has to be mitigated or remediated? Danielle?
Hi, Dan. Yeah, this is Danielle. So actually it should say 313 Providence Road, not 331. And in regards to the order letter, it's exactly what you said. So it kind of spells out what we observed during our inspection, what the violations were, who is responsible for the violations, the occupant or the landlord. And then it does kind of spell out when those violations need to be corrected.
Okay, thank you. I was just confused mainly about the address too, so that clears that up. Thanks.
I'm sure as I fumble through these, as I learn, I'll have a couple of questions. Is to piggyback on Dan's, is the typical turnaround for any kind of a response like a 30 days or do they vary?
So normally they do vary. It definitely kind of depends on some of the violations we observe during our inspections, but overall, I would say it's like around 30 days, but it definitely does vary dependent upon the situation.
Okay. And then for the inspections, I imagine the board probably knows why some of these things were inspected. I can't tell by the report. And then just also, there's ones that don't have like any re-inspections needed. Is that because they were like a standard monthly, quarterly, or annually type inspection that occurred?
Yes, Jennifer. Yeah. So definitely when the establishments kind of turnaround is dependent upon like the risk of an establishment. So, you know, like a pizza place is higher than a CVS. So a pizza place gets inspected more often than a CVS. So yeah, if there is no reinspection like next to that establishment, then you're right. They met the standards. There was no need for me to come back more often than needed. But Julie, it looked like you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I just wanted to go back to the housing piece as far as a time frame for from the orders to correct. The issues that constitute as an emergency would be if there's no water, no electricity, and during the heating season, no heat. So therefore, those would be 24-hour orders. And then Danielle's correct. So what would happen is the other violations that are currently cited would be typically 30 days. We do generally work with the landlords to get a timeline, so that way we can make sure that the corrective actions have been taken. So our job is to try to gain compliance and not punish people. So, you know, we try to work with the landlords and the tenants.
Is there sort of somewhere posted where how often, like I think you mentioned, food service places get inspected more frequently than like CVS's? Is there like a standard table somewhere I can just educate myself?
Yeah, Jen. So we actually have an Excel spreadsheet that Nancy can forward over to you that kind of explains, like it breaks down how often certain places need to be inspected. So we can definitely get that over to you for review.
Okay, great. And then do we typically talk about on here, like if somebody has re-inspections and fines reissued? It looks like on here, at least one.
So normally we talk about that with the actual business, and we work towards compliance and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Okay.
All
right.
the fun stuff you get to,
I get it. Don't worry. Thank you.
there's a lot. We deal with a lot compared, although always seems like we dealt with it was COVID over the past year plus, but all the food inspections, all of this was still
Yep.
going on, septics, other nursing, everyone stayed afloat.
Yes, I remember hearing on a couple of other meetings, different inspection findings and things, mostly a lot related to COVID at that point in time. So this is helpful. Thank you.
Any other questions for Julie or Danielle regarding kind of the Alliance update? All right. Seeing none, we'll jump into the COVID updates topic, which some has already been touched on, like usual. So I'm not going to repeat. Hey, don't worry, Julie. Anything you cover, Julie, means I don't have to cover. So as of July 19th, Grafton's been informed of a total of 1,191 confirmed positive COVID cases, and that's since we started tracking cases in early 2020. The state is no longer doing their weekly color-coded risk reports for communities. When they stopped doing that, we were down as a community at the lowest level, which was the gray, like most communities actually were across the state. I will say that we've been lucky, like many other communities in Massachusetts, to have a very small amount of new cases over the past few weeks. But as Julie mentioned, and as you can still hear all over the news and everything, COVID's still a concern. It's not gone anywhere. In fact, now we've got the Delta variant, which is definitely of concern. So everyone should continue to exercise precautions, especially if you are not fully vaccinated. But even if you are fully vaccinated, we've all been hearing about the breakthrough cases with individuals who have been fully vaccinated. And they, thankfully, the vast majority seem to be getting, we'll call it more mild symptoms, not hospitalization and thankfully not death. But that doesn't mean that we're out of the woods at this point in time. So definitely continuing to stress precautions, very much so if you're either unvaccinated or part of a vulnerable population, because the CDC did finally come out and say that those who are immunocompromised and similar are probably not getting the same level of effectiveness even if they are fully vaccinated. And I know that had been going around a lot, but it's actually been put out there now by the CDC finally. So no talks of booster shots at this point. I don't have a magic 8-ball. None of us do. So can't say if and when we'd get booster shots potentially needed. Could see them in the future, but they're not here at this point. Speaking of vaccines, back in mid-April, everyone who lived, worked, or studies within Massachusetts became eligible to receive the COVID vaccine. As Julie mentioned, the Pfizer is the one that's approved or authorized, sorry, not approved, authorized at this point for 12 years old and up. So if anyone has any questions or wants to find out where to get vaccinations, the state's website still exists. It's not like it all went away or anything. The location still exists, your CVS's, your Walgreens, et cetera, et cetera. They all still are offering vaccination appointments. And I'm assuming a lot of places are still doing the testing from what I've been seeing and hearing, if you think you have symptoms. So we continue to strongly recommend that individuals that are eligible to be vaccinated and have not been vaccinated yet to please do get vaccinated, for yourself, your family, your friends, coworkers, etc.
Do we have any information if the state is going to kind of pull out breakthrough cases from positives? I have a feeling that's going to be a big question on people's minds with the different variants, and where there is still some hesitancy around vaccines about the different variants coming out and whether or not people are protected from it with the vaccine. So I'd just be interested to know if the state decides to sort of do break out from the positive numbers, the breakthrough cases. I haven't heard anything as to whether or not
Yeah,
they're going to do that.
I haven't. Julie, Danielle, have you? Yeah. Any other questions, Dan?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, this is Dan, I in around town today, I went to several businesses just doing errands, and I did notice more people wearing masks, especially at like a grocery store or a bigger place. So apparently they're, listening to the news, the national news at least, and that's probably a good thing. Before it gets mandated, hopefully not again.
All right. Nothing else? Then we'll jump to the FEP rep for Grafton. Jennifer, for your sake, and there's more, you can definitely find out more info about FEP, but it's the Public Health Emergency Preparedness Cooperative Agreement Program. Just rolls off the tongue. And so if I remember correctly, it was back with September 11th, the anthrax attacks, etc., where there was a program that was put together to help public health departments like us and the nation prepare for emergencies. And with that, each town does have its own FEP rep and a backup. If Dan and Julie keep me honest on this one, because we have so many different reps and groups that we're part of. If I remember correctly, Julie was primary and Dan is backup, at least as of last time we had to nominate.
Yeah, I think that's correct. And if you need a nomination, I'd like to nominate Julie as the main rep for FEP.
Is there a second?
This is Bill Muller. I'll second that.
All right, so we have a motion and a second, and then do vote. Dan Finn,
Dan Finn, aye.
Bill Muller,
Bill Muller, aye.
Jennifer Maynard,
Jennifer Maynard, aye.
and Karen Gwiazdowski-Govin, aye. All right, so that was for Julie for the primary. And then do we have a nomination, a motion for backup?
This is Bill Muller. I'll nominate Dan Finn to continue in that illustrious role.
Do we have a second?
Sure, I'll second. Maybe next time, Dan.
So I guess I get to vote Dan Finn, aye.
Bill Muller, aye.
Jennifer Maynard,
Aye.
Karen Gwiazdowski-Govin, aye. All right, congratulations to both of you. All right. Rather than have the alliance with Julie and Danielle hang around while we reorganize the board, maybe we'll jump down to 115A Main Street first, because after that we can go do the reorg of the board, the mosquito control, and then the meetings, rather than, not that I'm expecting anything lengthy for the reorg, but I'm sure you guys have places you could go if you've got, I'm sure, other things to do tonight. All right, so with 115A Main Street, I think the last, oh boy, last we left it was, I think the tenant was in the process of going to be moving out. And then I know there was, regardless of how long it took for repairs, that the landlords, the owners, could not rent it, that unit again, until the repairs had been completed and inspected by the Lions. So, Julie, Danielle, where are we currently? Are we still
So
there?
Currently, we are still at a standstill. I guess from one of the emails that came through, the owner was going to be meeting with a tech at the site. I believe it was this morning, for a repair estimate. So things are still in process. I know that the occupants have vacated, and it was reiterated again that the unit cannot be re-rented until such time as all the repairs have been made, and I have to go in and conduct another re-inspection. So as of right now, it's still in process. It is vacant, so which is great. And then repairs can move forward. So, I mean, that's that's what I have currently. It's progress.
Any questions from the board members? No. All right. Yeah, it is progress, Julie, at least, so.
Can I add one more thing?
Yep.
It does state in the email that it would take approximately 3 to 4 weeks before they can start. And they do have to pull permits from buildings, so, which is obviously good as well. So we're talking 3 to 4 weeks. So probably my guess would be a reinspection prior to September 1st, prior to re-renting.
All right. Thank you. So yeah, I think that was it with alliance related topics. I mean, obviously feel free, Julie and Danielle, to stay on. We're not kicking you off. Just being mindful of life outside of work and our board meetings. All right, reorganization of the board. So now that we are back to being a full board again, although Austin couldn't make it because he was on vacation, you know, when we obviously had to delay a week because two of us need to be reappointed and sworn in, and then Jennifer needed to get her appointment letter so she could be sworn in also. So thankfully tonight worked for the vast majority. With this, it's a matter of going through and deciding and making motions for each seat. So chair, vice chair, and clerk, and then making a vote on each of those seats after we have the typical motions. Dan?
As vice chair, Dan Finn, I'd like to nominate Karen Gigi as chairperson for the coming year.
We're going to put that as the official name in the record.
No, I can't pronounce it, I'm sorry.
This is Bill Muller. I second that.
All right, and roll call vote.
Dan Finn, aye.
Bill Muller, aye.
Jennifer Maynard, aye.
Karen Gwastowski Govan, aye. It always feels weird to vote when it's all these years. It still feels weird to vote. All right, so then vice chair. There a motion for vice chair?
This is Bill Muller. I would nominate Dan Finn to continue in that role.
All right, is there a second?
Jennifer Maynard, I second.
All right, and then vote.
Dan Finn, aye.
Bill Muller, aye.
Aye.
Karen Gwiazdowski Govin, aye. All right, and then clerk. Do we have a motion? Dan?
This is Dan Finn. I'd like to make a motion to reappoint Austin as the clerk for the coming year.
Is there a second?
This is Bill Muller. I second that.
All right. Roll call vote.
Dan Finn, aye.
Bill Muller, aye.
Jennifer Maynard, aye.
Karen Gwiazdowski Govin, aye. All right. Thank you, everyone. All right, Central Mass Mosquito Control updates. Pull up. 1 second, let me just pull up what they had sent over. All right, so this was, the last meeting we went through the 5 Ds about mosquitoes, which Julie has gone through along with, tick prevention, obviously, because it's also tick season. So we had asked the Central Mass Mosquito Control Project, which Grafton is part of, starting a couple of years ago, to just give us a summary on where they stand with, because they have a whole host of different services that they offer to towns and communities that are part of it. So I will read off what they sent us. So larval control in the wetlands began in late March. To date, they've done 118 inspections of larval sites and treated 18 of them after finding larval activity. Most applications were done with a species-specific organically certified bacterial product. Also in 2021, they put into full operation in their service area a pre-hatch larval control program. After successful field trials the previous years, they treat sites that have historical larval activity in January and February, applying a sustained release organically certified bacterial product on snow and or ice in wetlands to reduce larval emergence as that snow and ice melts. Now that they did mention, now that they have some data from the wetlands in Grafton, they'll incorporate the town into that program in early 2022, now that they're rolling that program out in a larger fashion, not just to Grafton. In late May, they applied an organically certified bacterial product in 101 acres of wetlands of ZQ perturbans habitat, which is a species that can transmit EEE virus to humans. The program's aimed at reducing the risk from EEE virus in 2021, of course. Similar application was done in 2020. They have received as a program 58 requests for service from residents and town officials to date, mostly for adulticiding, which is the spraying. 18 pesticide exclusions have been recorded to date, along with 2 conservation/land trust areas. 291 tires have been recycled in their source reduction program since Grafton joined the program. 9 of those tires were in 2021 already. Tire piles can be reported to the Central Mass Mosquito Control Program's office to see if they qualify for the program, and residents can contact the program directly for curbside pickup. They also can coordinate with a solid waste day program or some other type of town-wide event for, say, recyclables or something like that. They have over 30 active and or supplemental surveillance trap sites in town. 26 collections of mosquitoes have been processed to date, identified to species at the laboratory. 5 of the collections have been submitted for testing at the Mass DPH lab in Jamaica Plain after confirmation of a specific species or sufficient numbers for the submission. And then 1,206 catch basins, storm drains, have been treated to date using a mosquito growth regulator to reduce emergence of the Culex mosquito, which is a concern more so on the West Nile virus transmission and amplification. At this point, so far, knock on a lot of wood, that it's been a quiet season thus far from Tripoli, definitely, and also West Nile. So hopefully we'll have a similar year like last year, where it was, relatively speaking, quiet when it came to I'm not even talking just the human side of the cases, but even from the number of mosquitoes that were positive across the area. So I think everyone's hoping that we have another year like that where it's on the quiet side of things, especially after everything that's been going on with COVID. It'd be nice to have another quiet year.
I wonder, Karen, this is Bill Muller, with all the rain we've had though, I suspect there's going to be more mosquito activity. It was dry last year.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful still, but I'm also realistic that this year and last year from rain perspective are already
I agree with that.
drastically different.
Yeah.
So it's good that we're definitely part of the program and we have more surveillance than we used to prior to being part of the program. So that's definitely a positive, along with the preventive measures that were put in place that we wouldn't have had if we weren't part of the program. So,
Sure.
Dan?
This is Dan. Yeah, I think this report actually is very comprehensive and really good information. And if Nancy and or William haven't already posted it on the website, I would suggest that. And also perhaps sending a copy of it to the Finance Committee. I think they're probably still interested in what activities that the Central Mass Mosquito Control Program does, you know.
Yeah, I was just gonna say this similarly about, I noticed in when they sent up the write-up, they mentioned that they have some brochures around this, and as well as around tick-borne disease. So perhaps the brochures can be posted. And I don't know what we do if we do any education that's just, rather than people having to come to and get like these tick twisters they're called, I guess, to the municipal center. I don't know if we do anything or give anything to the schools, especially like high school, and they can maybe bring it home too, just to kind of get the word out there. I think a lot of people in this area know, but that's another big one in this area that's really bad, even with all the rain. So just would agree with Dan, if we could post some of those things as resources for people at their fingertips, that'd be great.
Yeah. Dan?
Dan again, yeah, and traditionally I think they're distributed and education is put out at National Night Out, but I don't believe there's going to be a National Night Out again this year. So we'll have to think of some other avenue to let people know that they're available.
Agreed. Yeah, I'm 95% sure there's not a National Night Out.
Maybe even some of the local shops, if not the schools, maybe some of the local shops that people are frequenting, have them available on the counters or something.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. Anything else on mosquitoes, ticks, Central Mass Mosquito Control Program? All right, nothing. Then the last topic I have on the agenda is October, November, December 2021 meeting schedule. Jennifer, we usually try to get it in advance, especially more so when we had to, not fight's not the right word, but tried to get a room for meeting in person. It hasn't obviously been as bad when we've been virtually. One thing I did want to mention before we jump to October, November, December, is because we moved this July meeting out a week, we're only going to be 3 weeks until the scheduled August meeting. Because at the time we typically try to do every 4 weeks if possible. So if we keep the August meeting as August 9th, which is what we picked a few months ago, then we're only going to have 3 weeks. So we could move it to August 16th And then the September meeting we had chosen was September 13th because Labor Day is the first Monday in the month anyways. Dan?
Yep, this is Dan. I think that makes sense, and I'm available as long as we can get a quorum. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'm okay with those.
All right, so if we bump to August 16th, we keep September 13th, we will have a 5-week, we're either gonna have a 3-week span or a 5-week span because October 11th, which would be 4 weeks, is a holiday, so we can't meet then. So then we either can do October 18th and be 5 weeks in between, or let me pull up my calendar. Or we'd have to do October 4th and only be 3 weeks in between. I don't know if anyone has a preference based on calendars. No? Dan?
Yep, this is Dan. I don't have a preference. I'm available either one personally. Maybe it makes sense to go for the 4th. In case anything ramps up in terms of the reemergence of COVID or something, it's going to be in that time frame, I suspect. But also, if something comes up where we don't have enough people from the 4th, we could move it to the 18th, as the backup.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yep, so then if we do that, October 4th would be November 1st would be 4 weeks. Right. Yeah, November 1st would be 4 weeks. November 8th would be 5 weeks. And then we typically, just especially for Bill and Jennifer, typically in December, we'll do 2 meetings. One more like our normal meeting, like what we've been doing tonight, and every other pretty much time we meet. Then towards the end of the month, we typically will do what we call a signing party because it's permit time. Of course, last year it didn't work out that way because of course no one was meeting in person at all. So we didn't end up having a signing party. That's what we used to do, was just literally have a meeting where that's all we would do, is just like try to plow through 100 permits at the meeting to get them signed. So, but by then, who knows?
Wild bunch we are, huh?
Oh yeah, until COVID hit, let's put it this way, we still don't have large audiences, to say the least, or really controversial topics. So if we do October 4th, we can either do 4 weeks in November 1st. The only tricky part then is 4 more weeks would still be in November, to the end of November. So we can either do November 1st and do 4 weeks, but then like 5 weeks to get us to the beginning of December for a meeting. Or we do between the beginning of October and the beginning of November, we go until November 8th. As I'm saying that, I just want to make sure that wasn't Veterans Day, which it's not. Veterans Day's 11th. Okay, just want to make sure. I didn't want to set us up to pick a day that's a holiday.
I think the 8th makes sense. This is Dan.
All right. Now, if we do November 8th, then we could do December 6th for the first of the December meetings. And then the 27th.
Yep. I think that's correct.
Because part of me is like, well, it's right around the holidays. Then again, the 20th is also, but if we meet on the 20th, the chances of Nancy having that many permits
Right.
available.
We probably
Probably.
require a second meeting anyway, so.
Yeah, most often we end up come the January meeting going through about like 70 remaining permits or something, except for last year or the beginning of this year, because we just like individually came in to sign permits. So yes, we're a lively bunch.
So the 27th, I think that makes sense.
All right, so I'll just reiterate those. August 16th, because we're going to move out a week because we had to move this one out a week. September 13th, October 4th, November 11th, November 8th, sorry. That's what I get for looking at my notes and not changing them. October 4th, November 8th, December 6th, and December 27th. Okay. All right. There was no additional mail or correspondence beyond what we already talked about. The upcoming meetings I just listed, so I don't need to list those again. All right, so that's all I have on the agenda.
This is Dan. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Is there a second? Oh, sorry.
Bill Muller is the second, yeah.
And roll call vote.
Dan Finn, aye.
Bill Muller, aye.
Guy.
Karen Gwiazdowski, Govin, aye. All right. Well, thank you, everyone.